Hey everyone, in this video I will cover the concept of travel maps, juice maps, and I talk about my strategy to create areas on the atlas with really juicy modifiers for your high tier waystones. Let's dive in. It's quite likely that you don't have an overabundance of high tier maps, as it's not all that easy to sustain them. You will need a bunch of atlas passive points and you need to allocate them well, plus you might die every now and then wasting a waystone. So you want to use your tier 15 waystones or other high tier waystones carefully and consciously, and not slot a tier 15 waystone in every single map perhaps. I used to use tier 15 waystones for almost everything, but then found I did actually run out from time to time and I had to revert to tier 14 waystones. So I started thinking about a more clever use of my waystones. To see why this strategy works quite well, there is something you need to know about the atlas maps or atlas zones. First, in case you don't know, you can slot precursor tablets into watchtowers and they will influence the zones around them with beneficiary effects like waystone drop rates, item quantity, or several leak mechanics. Second, whenever you use a tablet in a tower, a lot of zones get influenced, right? With whatever tablet effects you put in that tower. However, not every zone is affected. Of course, completed zones aren't affected, but also zones you attempted, meaning you died in that map, are not affected. This is an important detail for our strategy because we can use this to our advantage. The strategy relies on a few things. First, you should look for a cluster of watchtowers. They stick out of the fog of war, so you will be able to spot if they're grouped together or not. Finding clusters of watchtowers really allows you to impact the zones around them with multiple tablets, so it's great for juicing maps. If they're a bit further apart, it's not the end of the world either, but you will notice less overlap in the tablet effects. After you decide where to go in terms of watchtowers, you should plot your way there. Specifically, you should use that knowledge that attempted and completed maps will not be influenced. You can complete, or even fail on purpose if you don't care about experience, certain maps that you don't want to be influenced by tablets, or in other words, map that you don't want to juice. And reasons for not wanting to juice a map is, for example, because you don't really like running that map. So the last thing you want is that map to be super juiced, so be kind of forced almost to run the map. You don't want to do that, so either you fail it on purpose or you complete it before you slot everything in. For making my ways to the towers, I'm using lower tier maps, and for failing maps on purpose, if that is what you're doing, you can use any tier map. I don't like using tier 1 maps honestly for traveling to towers because you still have to kill the rares, so completing a map takes a bit of time either way. You might as well give yourself a chance at some loot if you're speedrunning these maps. I'm typically using tier 12 to tier 14 maps for traveling, and I'm only making my waystones magic, so with 2 modifiers, as I don't want to spend precious materials on waystones that are only used for traveling. Once you reach the towers, you can run them. Here you can in fact use tier 1 waystones because you are literally running to the end of the watchtower to complete the map, meaning you're not killing much at all. However, after completing the tower, do not yet put in the tablet. Wait until you cleared the other towers too, and wait until you disabled all the zones that you don't want to run by either already completing them or by failing them. And only then you slot in all the tablets, so that the tablet effects are only on maps that you like running and not on maps which are travel maps to get to another tower and not on maps that you really dislike running, like in my case Valve Factory. You should have already completed or failed that Valve Factory using a lower tier waystone. What you'll end up with is an atlas that looks like this, where this whole area is full of juicy maps. Combine this with 6 mod tier 15 waystones, you can even corrupt them to get them like tier 16 in some cases, and you are in for a treat, for some great experience and some great loot. Just don't fail the map now, because that's quite painful, but otherwise you will be all good to go and you can spend an hour or 2 farming all of these zones until they're done. And then you just rinse and repeat in the next zone with the next bunch of watchtowers. I hope you find these tips useful and had a good time watching this video. Let me know what you think. Also, let me know if you have any suggestions. Subscribe and like for more PoE SSF content. Thanks for watching and making it to the end. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.